Welcome back, Dads, to the Wink Wink crew. How are you? Are you good? This episode is sponsored by Dora, where I stare uncomfortably for 5 seconds at a time. Hola! I was thinking about what analog horror video to do next, or just general horror video to do next on here, and after looking at our options here, we've got Backrooms, I think there's more Mandela Catalogue, there's a few different things we could look at. I ended up deciding I want to take a quick look back at what we've already looked at and give my personal thoughts on them, kind of as a summary. These will be spoiler-free looks at the 4 analog horror series we've looked at. Mandela Catalogue, Gemini Home Entertainment, Walten Files, and the Backrooms. I had to think about that. All 4 are strong in their own way and weak in their own way. They have different things that make them interesting. I think they all stand in their own right, and I've talked about each of them individually, but I'd like to take a quick look at all of them again. That was good. Also, I'm in a new apartment. I forgot to mention that. I'm in a new apartment. Do you like it? I like it. I actually have an office now, and I can keep the green screen behind me and put things on the walls like that. This isn't a real guitar. It's a Guitar Hero guitar. I also just graduated from school, college, finally, so I should have some more time to put out videos, hopefully, and I am totally open to suggestions on what you guys want to see. Obviously, I want to take a look at some more Backrooms and some other stuff I might mention in a little bit. And if any of these do interest you, feel free to go back and watch the videos that I've made on them. Link down in the description for the full playlist of all of them. I try and actually watch the content in full and give some commentary as we go, but still give the experience to the viewer if it's your first time watching it. And then at the end of the video, I go away for a couple of days and watch some other people's summaries and theories. So that way, at the end of the video, I can give kind of a sweet condensed version, like a little sweet and condensed milk of all the other theories and stuff I've seen. It's sweet and it's thick. I'm sweet and thick. So that being said, let's take a quick little retrospective at the previous analog horrors we've looked at. Mandela Catalogue, I think this is my favorite one that we've looked at so far. It's really fascinating, all the key pieces that Alex Kister, the creator, has put together. He's got a lot going on with religious aspects, and I always love horror relating to religion and stuff like that, with religious groups and vampire sects and stuff. Sects, CTS, although vampire sex. And Alex does a really good job of having this whole narrative that you can tell it's there. It's right on the tip of your tongue, and you're almost getting it, but never quite fully getting it. And you've got a doppelganger aspect, you've got a cop plot, and you've got other side plots of other characters. I think Alex does a really good job, especially since it's basically just him creating it, balancing all these aspects. And I think he said before, he began with the end in mind. He had a plot laid out ahead of him, and he already kind of knew what he was doing. And I think that really shows, because when there's a story that is so many pieces and parts playing together in tandem, and it's not showing you the full picture at once, it's really easy to get lost in the weeds. And I think Alex does a fantastic job not getting lost in the weeds. So I would say the strengths of this one for sure are on the one hand, it's easily digestible, but also it just really ropes you in and only gives you just enough to keep along. And you almost do have to go see other people who have pieced together some of those puzzle pieces. Unless you're cleverer than I am and can actually understand what the hell's happening most of the time, which I swear some people in the comments have just been like, oh yeah, this connects to this, and this makes sense with this. I'm like, how the hell do you connect all these things? I can barely keep up sometimes. But it's absolutely a fantastic series, and I cannot wait to look at more of it. In the way of weaknesses, I would say sometimes the voice acting isn't fantastic, but again, I think that's a problem with any analog horror where it's not a big budget production. It's just somebody or a few people just trying to put it together. So I think for the amount of voice acting he has, it really works, because he does have these plots going on that, instead of just being the analog horror aspect of you seeing broadcasts and official news reports and stuff, there's actually character plots and character arcs happening, and some of them tie in together, and some of them are just, again, pieces of a larger puzzle that we're looking at. So I think it's an absolutely fantastic series. I would highly recommend going and watching it. If you want to watch my videos on it, great. I kind of give at the end of the first 2 videos a little bit of that summary, but I would really recommend first actually just going and watching them, because I think there's something really fun about just watching the channel. So yeah, that being said, highly recommend Mandela Catalogue. Now looking at Gemini Home Entertainment. This one is definitely a close second for me for Mandela Catalogue. I really enjoyed this one because Mandela Catalogue and a lot of other analog horrors are a little bit more local, or, I mean, even Mandela Catalogue really is, like I said, there's religion aspects and all that, so there's a lot of like historic implications to it, and it's basically a global problem, I think. But then Gemini Home Entertainment kind of takes that and blows it up into solar aspects, really. I mean, universal, like universe aspects of like creatures and planets and infection across the universe, or at least our galaxy or something. Like it really goes above and beyond. The scale really just blows up. And I know I mentioned this in the video for it, but it bears repeating, is that same with Mandela Catalogue, you can tell that it's not being made up as it goes along. Not that for every other analog horror you can tell it's being made up as it goes along, but with this one, it is really clear this person, when creating these videos, had an idea in mind. They had the story in mind. And as it goes along, it might have changed some things here and there, but it really does feel like a good narrative that you can follow. I think if you start getting into analog horror and really want to find more, I think it's a good next step, maybe even before the other ones on this list. Maybe not Backrooms. I think Backrooms, there's a lot to the Backrooms, but you can go down any path with it and watch whatever content, and it's always going to be interesting. I just think that the narrative really is so strong. I mean, again, it's never clear with analog horror. It's always a little bit confusing and weird, and I still had to go watch other people's videos just to understand a lot of it. But I think it really grabs you and pulls you in, and each video is unique, and yet the narrative stays strong. Every single video is so different from the one before it, and yet they all tie together. I mean, there's the video game aspect, there's the galactic crap going on, and again, without getting into spoilers, I just want to say more, but every video is so different and so stylized, and yet every effect works for me. At no point was I like, oh, this video, like, there's not filler, I guess, really. All of it feels relevant in some way, even at the slower points, and I think that's fantastic. In terms of weaknesses, like, I couldn't think of much. In terms of weaknesses, like, it really is a solid one. It goes down specific rabbit holes. It kind of goes back out to the 30,000 foot view. It gives interconnecting story throughout all the videos. Like, I couldn't really think of any big weaknesses for this one. I think it's a really solid one. So yeah, even though Mandela Catalogue is probably my favorite, this one is a close second. Highly recommend. Like I said, feel free to go watch my video on it, because we take a pretty good look at it, and at the end, I mean, it was a beast of a video to put together, I swear. I think I already said that, but oh my gosh, at the end, I really tried to make the summary like cover as much as I possibly could, and that was definitely, I think that took the longest to edit out of any, but it was definitely worth it, because I feel really good about what we covered in it. So yeah, highly recommend this one, and if you want to go watch it on your own, please do. It's a fantastic one. On to the Walten Files. I really do think there is something strong about this one, because it obviously is a Five Nights at Freddy-esque thing, right? It's taking the ideas of Five Nights at Freddy's and putting it into the analog horror, which Five Nights at Freddy's is already kind of analog horror in video game format. However, I think the strength of this one, the Walten Files, is that it takes a lot of those ideas and actually builds upon them. It does different things with it than just kind of repeating Five Nights at Freddy's entirely. We've got kind of like a weird hit list situation at some point. We've got different characters with their different arcs, and some of it's interconnecting and some of it kind of isn't, but still plays into the overall story. I think it's not easy to take an already beloved material and make something the same but different out of it. I think it's also worth mentioning that it does kind of start off with familiar stuff from Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's like, oh yeah, store closing down, oh, there's technical support, and there's bad, animatronics and all this. But then once you get into kind of the bunny farm video, I feel like it finds its own a little bit more. And again, that's where some of the voice acting, again, couple lines are a little iffy, but overall, it does something different, and then by the last video, it feels like it's fully fleshing out its own story. And there's also some of the side stuff, like, I mean, any analog horror has a lot of side things you can go down, but even looking into, like, the music tracks, the album, maybe multiple albums, actually, I don't remember. Listening to those songs is interesting, because then you read some of the comments on the videos, and people are, like, picking out little bits, and there's connections to some shady characters that are kind of background characters. We don't fully know what's going on. A lot of the effects, like, there's multiple different videos with different things driving them. So, like I said, there's the video game, there is a found footage section, and a lot of the effects are very similar, so it's not like every video is entirely unique, but I don't think it really needs to be. I think it works for what it's doing. Overall, it was very fun to watch, and I think this is another one that, if you're not wanting to get as in-depth as Mandela Catalogue or some others yet, I think it's a decent entry-level one if you're wanting something that doesn't hand feed you everything, but it's still pretty accessible. Like, apparently Monument Mythos, I haven't watched it yet, but apparently that one there's a lot going on that you kind of have to research, same as Mandela. So I think Backrooms would take my number 3 spot out of these 4, but Walten Files does come close behind that as well, because I think, again, it takes what you already know and does its own thing with it. So it's somewhat familiar, somewhat new, but enjoyable to watch, and I really did like watching it. So, heh. So now let's talk about the Backrooms. Back room. Actually, I'm in the back room. So as I mentioned in the Backrooms video, I'm an idiot and thought this was some new interesting concept from this channel. I don't know how I hadn't heard about Backrooms, because I like SCP creepypasta stuff and I've been in it for a long time, and I somehow had never heard of the Backrooms. This channel is taking the Backrooms and making a found footage series out of it. As far as I know, this is the only one I've seen, but taking a peek at the next video, I think it is as well. So if you're unfamiliar, the Backrooms is basically a concept of this place that you can glitch into, like out of reality or into another reality. You can kind of glitch into it. Depending on what story you're looking at, it's either a place where there's endless levels down and they all have different things on them, or it's just this one endless location, or it's this circular path that you're stuck in that changes as you go. Whatever it is, the general consensus is you glitch into this place and there's creatures or entities of some kind, or you just get stuck and have to not die, maybe? It's a gloomy day outside, man. Like, I could easily make a nice warm hot chocolate and not, you know, like a cold alcoholic drink. That'd be a good idea. So there's not much to talk about in the way of spoilers on this, because this video, I think this is the most excited I am to watch more of from this channel out of any of them, because, I mean, it's so fantastic. It starts off just normal found footage and then glitches into the Backrooms, and then there's actually jump scares in this one that got me and didn't feel cheap. It wasn't just like blah in your face. Like, those didn't get me as much in the other ones. I think there was a couple of those in Walten Files, and it's like, okay, a little cheap, whatever. But this one actually had moments that scared me, and I had visceral reactions to a couple of those. Ah, fuck, go down hole. Oh, fuck. That was a chair. All right. I got chair scared. Jump chaired. I got jump chaired. Go. No, fuck. The amount of digital work that was put into this is incredible. It's absolutely a fantastic video. There's so many different versions of Backrooms, and I've seen some other ones now after I watched that one, but this one is still my favorite. It's done so well. It is my least viewed video for some reason. I don't know why. Go watch it, please. Love me. But again, just the camera work on it, the sound effects on it, all the digital work put into it. I'm just reiterating myself, but it's so good. That's probably going to be the next one I react to, is more Backrooms, because holy crap, man. And liminal spaces are always interesting anyways. Like, any weird, like, I love those surreal memes of, like, I forget what the word is for it, but when it looks like a familiar place, like you've seen this place before but you haven't actually. And the Backrooms kind of, there's a lot of different ones where it makes you feel like I've seen this before, and that makes it feel more real, which I think is fascinating. And there's some supernatural aspects to it, but it also still feels really grounded. And I think that's why I like SCPs a lot, is because it's a lot of like technical details and real life examples of this otherworldly thing. And Backrooms does this really well in general. For the most part, I've seen some that go a little bit too far, but this specific video, fantastic, love it, highly recommend. I have no weaknesses for it at all. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's fan-freaking-tastic. It's fan-freaking-spastic. Stastic. Masticate. It's when people chew, right? Masticate. Sounds like something dirty. So that's all I've got for you for now. If I had to give one recommendation of go watch this one right now, it actually probably would be Backrooms because it's bite-sized. I think the first video is like 12-15 minutes, something like that. So I'd recommend go watching that one first if it interests you. And then past that, like I said, I think Gemini Home Entertainment is the next like easily accessible one. And then Mandela Catalogue, man, I gotta tell you, it is just fantastic. And then if the animatronic stuff interests you at all, I think the Walten Files does a very good job of doing that scary animatronic stuff, but putting its own spin on it and not just reiterating Five Nights at Freddy's in a different way. Absolutely love you all. I might have already mentioned it, but I am now graduated from school and should have more time to make videos, so please let me know what you want to see. I want to branch out a little bit from just reacting to stuff. I want to actually make some edited videos. One idea I had for a video was like ranking my top 10 like creepypastas I've ever read or whatever. Maybe short horror stories that I've read that I would recommend, like really anything. I love horror related stuff or creepy stuff, but also like anything else that you guys can think of you'd love to see. I'm happy to do pretty much anything. We also love to live stream, me, Drew, and Pierce. And then on most Sundays, me and Alex try and stream. Right now we're going through Disco Elysium, which is a fantastic game, by the way. Even if it's not your normal type of game, I'd highly recommend. Very fun. But that's our little retrospective for now. I just kind of wanted to do a little something else, and I hope you guys enjoy just watching me talk about the ones we've already talked about before. I love you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. What do you call a fish with no eyes? Blind. A horse walks into a bar. Probably shouldn't have had swinging doors. What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. And also candy, if it's red. I gotta poop.